In Hong Kong, there is an abandoned primary school covered in vines. Tat Tak School, long feared as one of the most haunted places in the city. Footsteps, red-clad figures, and a heavy, unexplainable pressure are among the stories told for years. But the most shocking incident happened in 2011, when 12 students entered the deserted campus for a courage test. One girl claimed she saw a woman in red on a grave, and shortly after leaving, she suddenly lost control, screaming, choking herself, and biting her friends. What truly happened that day? To find out, we must return to the moment they walked into this forgotten place. It was Teachers' Development Day, so school was closed. 12 students, 4 boys and 8 girls, met outside Tat Tak School at 3:30 in the afternoon. They were all young, most of them still in junior secondary school, with only the leader, a Chung, being in Form 3. 2 days earlier, he had visited the abandoned school alone. Instead of being scared, he found the place eerie yet exciting, so he invited his friends to form a small group they jokingly called the Ghost Explorers, planning to challenge the haunted campus in broad daylight. The moment they stepped inside the school grounds, everyone unknowingly slowed down. Even though it was still daytime, the entire campus somehow felt dimmer than the outside world. The walls were peeling, the window frames shook lightly in the wind, and weeds had grown almost up to their knees. But what made them the most uncomfortable were the stray dogs lying in the shadows of the corridor, staring at them with unfriendly eyes. Someone tried to approach carefully, but a low growl made him instantly retreat. The group exchanged uneasy glances and quickly walked around the building toward the basketball court in the center. The basketball court had long been swallowed by overgrown grass, with only a broken hoop standing lonely in the middle. Just when they thought the scariest thing they would encounter were the wild dogs, one of the students suddenly pointed toward the slope beside the court. There were 2 small graves. This was supposed to be a primary school. Why would there be graves on the campus? The group gathered together, all looking at each other in confusion. Curiosity quickly turned into uneasiness. Before they could take a closer look, a sound suddenly echoed from the distance. The footsteps slowly approached, as if someone was walking over a pile of dry leaves. The rhythm was clear, yet strangely unnatural. Everyone froze, staring in the direction of the sound. It drew closer and closer, as though someone would step out from behind the bushes at any moment. But just as they held their breath and prepared to run, the footsteps abruptly vanished. No people, no wind, not even leaves moving. It was as if the footsteps had never existed at all. While they were still tense, a girl standing at the back, low, suddenly stopped moving, as though she had been frozen in place. She raised a trembling finger toward the space between the 2 graves, struggling to speak. There's someone over there." The others looked, but saw nothing except grass and rocks. Ah Chung frowned and asked what she saw. In a tiny, shaking voice, she whispered, "I saw a woman, in red, long hair, lying on top of the grave." Her face turned completely pale, and she clearly wasn't joking. The others insisted they saw nothing, but a sharp, chilling fear had already spread through the group. Without discussing it, they exchanged one glance and immediately sprinted toward the school gate. The group sprinted away from the basketball court, their feet pounding along the cracked concrete as they rushed toward the school gate. No one dared to look back. All they knew was that they had to get out of this place as fast as possible. Under normal circumstances, it should take no more than 5 minutes to get from the school gate to the nearest Pingshan light rail station. But this time, leaving the campus felt strangely difficult. They kept heading toward the exit, yet the way out never seemed as close as it should have been. No one heard anything behind them, but all of them sensed as if something invisible was following. When they finally stepped out of the campus and reached the light rail station, everyone was exhausted, bending over and gasping for air. One student checked his phone, and his expression changed immediately. The 5-minute walk had somehow taken 30. They hadn't stopped once, so where did those missing 25 minutes go? As they struggled to make sense of it, one student suddenly said. Lo saw someone in red, but what I saw was white. A chill swept through the group. Even under bright daylight, goosebumps rose on their arms. In that moment, they all shared the same thought. Leave this place as fast as possible and never go near Tat Tak School again. But just as they believed they were finally safe, the real disaster struck. Lo stood outside the light rail station completely still, as if something inside her had been switched off. She didn't move, didn't react. She just stood there, empty. Suddenly, her body jolted violently, shaking as if some unseen force had taken hold of her. The next second, a sharp, muffled scream tore out from deep in her throat, a sound none of her friends had ever heard from her before. Her hands shot up, fingers stiff, and she clamped them tightly around her own neck. The group screamed in panic and rushed forward to pull her hands away. But Lo tightened her grip with terrifying strength, her nails digging so deep into her skin that they left red marks. Ah Chung, desperate, grabbed the water bottle in his hand and splashed it onto her, hoping it would calm her down. But the moment the water touched her, it was as if a trigger had been pulled. Lo whipped her head around and let out a low, animalistic growl, then lunged toward Ah Chung like a wild beast. She sank her teeth into his arm with such force that he fell backward in pain. The boys jumped in, trying to pull her off, but Lo didn't feel like a 14-year-old girl at all. It took a long, chaotic effort before they finally managed to force her to the ground and pin down her arms and legs. At the same time, two of the girls in the group, Lee and Chan, suddenly collapsed. Whether it was fear, shock, or something they saw that they didn't dare to speak of, their eyes rolled back and they fainted on the spot. Now, among the 12 students, some were scratched, some were bitten, some had fainted, and others were crying uncontrollably. The remaining students, trembling with fear, could only pull out their phones, call the police, and try to calm each other while keeping Lo from hurting herself or anyone else. Before long, ambulances and police cars arrived. Since no crime had taken place, the officers couldn't determine what had happened and could only help transport the affected students to the hospital for examination. Ah Chung, recalling the moment she attacked him, still trembled as he described it. She wasn't like a girl at all. That strength, it wasn't hers. After this incident, the story spread quickly across Hong Kong, becoming one of the most widely discussed paranormal cases linked to Tat Tak School. Even though the 2011 possession incident was shocking, it wasn't the only reason Tat Tak School became a place people feared. Even when the school was still open, students often said the campus felt unusually heavy, and the girls' bathroom was considered the most unsettling spot of all. According to old rumors, a woman once took her own life in that bathroom. Some claimed she was the principal's wife, others said she was a staff member. No version was ever confirmed. Still, for decades, students and later explorers reported seeing a flash of red near the mirror, long hair passing by, or a figure standing quietly behind the door. What chilled them most wasn't the figure itself, but the feeling that came with it, a cold breath on the back of the neck that wasn't caused by wind or temperature. Tat Tak School became known not only through explorer stories, but also through film crews who used the abandoned campus as a shooting location. Despite bringing professional equipment and full technical teams, many crews encountered things they couldn't explain. One director recalled filming near the old girl's bathroom. The moment they started rolling, the camera froze, the lens, monitor, and controls all stopped responding. At the same time, the lights began to flicker non-stop, as if someone was switching them on and off. Technicians checked the power and cables, but found no issues. Then a crew member quietly suggested lighting incense. Half unsure, they did it, lit the incense, bowed, and apologized. Strangely, everything returned to normal. The lights stabilized, the camera worked, and filming continued. But once the incense burned out, the problems returned immediately. The lights flickered again, the camera failed, and someone even saw a shadow move at the end of the hallway. Realizing they couldn't continue, the director ended the shoot early. Later, he summed it up in one sentence. In places like this, it's better to show some respect. As stories like this spread, the government finally stepped in. The school gate was locked, chains were added around the perimeter, and security guards were assigned to patrol the area to stop anyone from slipping inside. Officially, it was to prevent accidents, but for many who knew the stories, the extra security only made Tat Tak feel even more mysterious. Even so, curiosity always found a way. Every now and then, young thrill-seekers would sneak in during the night or on holidays, determined to see for themselves whether the legends were true, whether something really still lingered inside. But why did Tat Tak School become what it is today? And is there a deeper story behind all these events? The school was founded in 1931 by the Tang clan of Pingshan together with several village leaders. At the beginning, it was simply a rural school built to give local children a place to study. Classes were held inside ancestral halls. The conditions were basic, but the learning atmosphere was warm and lively. As the number of students grew, the ancestral halls could no longer accommodate them, so the clan raised funds to build a new campus. In 1965, the new school building officially opened. It was a two-story, U-shaped structure surrounding a basketball court and an assembly hall, with tall trees all around. At its peak, Tat Tak had more than 700 students, making it one of the most active village schools in the Yuen Long area. But the good days didn't last. As urban development increased, many families moved away from the countryside, and with the falling birth rate, the student population dropped sharply. By 1998, Tat Tak had no choice but to close due to low enrollment, and the campus was left abandoned. It was after the abandonment that a darker part of its history resurfaced. Some said the land had been a burial site more than a century ago, where local fighters died during the Six-Day War in the new territories. Others believed that during World War II, villagers were killed nearby and their bodies hurriedly buried in the area. None of these claims were ever officially confirmed, but the stories continued to circulate for generations. Whichever version is closer to the truth, they all point to the same unsettling possibility. Tat Tak School may have been built on land marked by the spirits and scars of an older era. When a place carrying such history is later connected to multiple supernatural events, it is no surprise that Tat Tak eventually became known as one of Hong Kong's most infamous forbidden sites. Tat Tak School has been abandoned for many years now, its exterior covered in vines and overgrowth. Yet no matter how time passes, its name still carries an indescribable weight. Some say the feeling of unease comes from the deserted environment. Others believe it is the result of too many ghost stories. And some think the real reason lies deeper, in the history buried beneath the ground itself. Even though the gates are now chained shut, people passing by Pingshan occasionally claim to see shadows moving behind the broken window frames, or to hear faint echoes along the empty corridors. Whether these things are real or simply imagination, no one can say for sure. But there are places that make people slow their steps, even under the bright sun. Tat Tak School is one of them.